My mother, Rachel Olive Liberacki, was born January 18, 1909, and she died in February of 1990. She had both a bachelor's and a master's degree in education after attending Kalamazoo Teachers College and Central Michigan University. She retired from the schools at age 65 after many years of teaching, many years in early education, and many years in working with students with special needs. In fact, I think she was a true pioneer in that field because they still refer to it as Type A. She was an excellent teacher. She was dearly loved and respected by students, parents, colleagues, and administrators. Every semester that she taught, yes, every semester that she taught, she took a university class. She always said, there is so much to learn. It was January of 1990, and my mother had a very severe stroke. As I had done previously, I hired a speech therapist to work with her, and the sessions were very frustrating times for this wonderful, bright, caring, and highly educated lady. She knew what she wanted to convey, but the words did not come out. There was just a garbling of sounds, followed by wild eyes, drooped shoulders, and utter frustration. I recall the same reaction from my grandfather when he was living with us in the 1940s, and he suffered a stroke after stroke and was unable to communicate. Just the garbling, frustrating feeling. The stroking for my mother took place over 3 years. With good medical care and a strong will, she would bounce back each time. But the last 2 strokes were very debilitating. The struggle with speech was hard for her both physically and mentally. Finally, she let me know that she would accept no more sessions with a speech therapist, now called speech pathologist. She would lock her lips tight. She would close her eyes. She would turn her head sideways. I'm seeing my sister nod, she's seen it too. And completely tune things out. I had seen the gesture more than once, and I knew there was little chance of her changing her mind. I could not sit with her every moment, but I was very concerned with her needs. How would she convey to the staff of the nursing home that she needed or wanted something? I worried about her. I made a chart listing possible needs and suggested to Mother that she point to the things listed. And listed were such things as get me a bedpan, pull me up, take my covers off, get my glasses, turn on the TV, roll me onto my side, get me more oxygen. And I read the list to Mother. And I asked if she understood. And she nodded to the affirmative. And I asked if she would keep the list by her bed and point the things to the staff or family that she wanted. And she looked at me blankly and shook her head to the negative. I knew that she understood. And then she would try to talk, would become extremely frustrated, and I figured possibly she was trying to explain why she responded to the negative. I too was frustrated and wondered what to do. On the way home in the car, my husband came up with a suggestion, and he said, "You know, your mother never was one to give orders. And it is difficult for her to ask for help. She has always been the giver." And I understood what he was saying, but did not know how this was really going to help solve the problem. I wondered what Mother would tell me in this situation. What would be her answer? I prayed for guidance. I put my hands over my face and said aloud, "Please, God, help me find a way to help my mom communicate. Please, 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 please." And then the light struck. My mother had always taught me to say please when asking for something. And the next day, with hope in my heart and a smile on my face, I entered her room. I prayed that the new idea that Lorraine and my Lord had given me would help. And to each item on the list, I added a please. And on the back of the card, you can show the other one, I added a big thank you. Mother smiled for the first time in many days. There were tears in her eyes and running down her cheeks, and I was the same way. I was reacting the same. When the nurse came into the room, I noticed my mother using her left hand with fingers outstretched. And ever so slowly, she moved her hand to the card with the list of items. And then she pointed to the second item, on the list that said, pull me up, please. The nurse and I did as she requested, and she smiled. And then she flipped the card over and pointed to thank you. Mother could again communicate in her language in a very polite way. Why had I not thought of this sooner? Thank you, Lord, for answering my request to find a way to aid my mom. As Mother always says, there is so much to learn, and I truly felt like a slow learner.